For decades, if you thought about quality, reliability, or just plain smart car making, you probably thought of Toyota. I mean, they were the gold standard. But right now, in the biggest, most chaotic auto market on the planet, something wild is happening. A brand that was the very symbol of excellence is now fighting just to stay relevant. So today, we're going to break down how Toyota completely lost its way in China.
To really get what's going on, just picture this scene from Shanghai. You've got a Toyota dealership which should be bustling on a weekend, but instead, it's quiet, almost empty. Then, just down the street, you walk into a showroom for the Chinese brand BYD, and it is buzzing. It's packed with people, full of energy. That one image right there tells you everything you need to know about the seismic shift happening with Chinese car buyers. And that leads us to the big central question of all this. How on earth did Toyota, the company that basically invented the hybrid with the Prius, that built a global empire on being smarter and more efficient than everyone else, how did they get caught so completely flat-footed in the middle of the biggest EV boom the world has ever seen? To figure that out, we have to rewind the clock. Because before this struggle, there was an unbelievably successful winning formula. For a very long time, Toyota's dominance was built on a very specific and very profitable bet on hybrid cars. At the core of their whole worldview was something called the multi-pathway approach. The thinking was pretty straightforward. Instead of putting all their chips on pure electric cars, they argued that a whole mix of technologies, especially their best-in-class hybrids, was the smarter, more practical way to a low-emission future. It was a gradual, super cautious strategy. And man, were they confident about it. I mean, as recently as early 2024, the company was still out there saying that pure EVs would probably top out at just 30% of the market. The message was loud and clear. Don't go all in on the EV hype. For them, hybrids were the steady, reliable moneymakers that paid for everything else. And you know what? You can't really blame them for believing it. Just look at this number. For 9 years in a row, their sales in China did nothing but go up and up and up, hitting a peak of almost 2 million cars back in 2021. So from where they were sitting, the strategy wasn't just working, it was crushing it. But that success, well, it might have made them a little too comfortable. And then the shockwave hit. A sudden, massive, overwhelming surge that came directly from China and changed the entire game, seemingly overnight. It was like the ground just vanished from under Toyota's feet. The sheer speed of this change was just staggering. In less than 10 years, China went from EVs being this tiny little niche to making up a third of their entire market. By 2024, more than half of all the electric cars sold on the entire planet were being sold in China. This wasn't some gentle trend. This was a full-on, government-backed, consumer-driven explosion. Okay, so this is a super important point. The way this shockwave worked directly attacked Toyota's greatest strength. In China, Toyota's world-famous hybrids were treated just like any old gasoline car. They didn't get the special designation of a new energy vehicle, or NEV, and that meant no government subsidies, no tax breaks, and no free license plates in cities where a plate can cost a fortune. The whole system was tilted to favor cars you could plug into a wall. But it wasn't just about policy. A really serious perception problem started to creep in. In China's fast-moving market, Toyota was suddenly being seen as slow and, even worse, kinda uncool. The very qualities that made them a giant, their careful planning, their obsession with reliability, were now starting to look like baggage. This table just lays out the culture clash perfectly. Toyota's careful 4 to 5 year development cycle looks ancient next to Chinese rivals who are pumping out new models every 2 or 3 years. While Toyota was laser-focused on perfecting the engine, Chinese brands were all about the in-car tech, the giant screens, the software. They were basically operating like tech companies, not car companies. And oh my gosh, this quote just absolutely nails it. For this new generation of Chinese buyers, getting a new EV was like getting the hottest new smartphone. It was slick, it was exciting, it was the future. Buying a Toyota, on the other hand, it felt like getting your dad's old Nokia brick phone. Yeah, it's reliable, it'll never break, but it's not exactly cutting edge. And this wasn't just a feeling, it had brutal, real-world consequences. Take the Toyota Camry. For years, it was the king of family sedans. But when the new model launched, sales were a complete disaster, just a third of what they used to be. Why? Because a car like the BYD Xing Plus came along, offering a high-tech interior, all those plug-in perks, and a much lower price tag. It just straight up dethroned the Camry. So, faced with a full-blown crisis, Toyota has hit the panic button and gone into what you can only call scramble mode. This is a company famous for taking its sweet time, and now they are moving with a speed nobody has ever seen from them before, desperately trying to claw back what they've lost.
Their comeback plan is basically hitting on 4 fronts at once. First, new leadership. They've put a Chinese executive in charge for the first time ever. Second, new partnerships. They're teaming up with the local tech giants they used to compete with. Third, new products. They're rushing to get EVs and plug-in hybrids to market that are built specifically for Chinese tastes. And fourth, new pricing. They're just cutting prices on their old models to stop the bleeding.
And this part is just a massive, massive pivot. It's the old saying, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. Toyota is now building its cars with Chinese technology. We're talking batteries and motors from their biggest rival, BYD, infotainment systems from the tech giant Huawei. It's a huge cultural shock for a company that has always prided itself on doing everything itself. Now, all of these frantic moves prove one thing. Toyota is not going down without a fight. They're throwing their immense global resources into this problem to stage a comeback. But the final chapter of this story is a long, long way from being written. Which leaves us with the ultimate multi-billion-dollar question. Toyota is trying to turn a giant ship in the middle of a hurricane. They have the money, they have the engineering brilliance, and they have a legacy of excellence. But in a market that now moves at the speed of software, can this giant actually change course fast enough? The next few years are going to be one heck of a show.